Welcome to Driving the Lane with Randy Kraayenbrink and Chuck Rowe, a podcast presented by News Talk 1540 KXEL. Now, Driving the Lane.
Welcome to Driving the Lane. Randy Kraayenbrink, Chuck Rowe, the show where we talk mostly about one thing only, and that is
Panther basketball.
Now, it's important that we remind you that although we are the official UNI basketball show for News Talk 1540 KXEL, our comments may not reflect the feelings of our friends at UNI. However, Randy is a former player, and I played basketball last night. So this show is as official as it's going to get.
How do your legs feel today, Chuck?
Okay. Well, let me be a little bit more honest here. Every week, there's a group of kids, my boys' age, so they're like second and third graders that get together, and we lead them through some basketball drills, things like that.
Yes.
So theoretically, they're the ones playing, but like I move once in a while. Like I kind of, yeah. So
You
I lead them through a drill or
at
two.
them a little bit.
Yeah, I have a clipboard and I'm just kind of pounding the thing and blowing the whistle, so I'm active in the game.
Totally. Heart rate gets up a little bit. I love it.
Yeah. So there you go. So
Good job. All right.
So, but as always, we have a great show for everyone this week, especially as we get into the new year. And joining us today, former UNI great Eric Coleman, our Midwest Studies Group nonprofit of the week, House of Hope, and of course, the favorite part of the show for everyone, the Financial Architects quote of the week. Let's get started. Randy, excited to have with us today one of UNI's all-time greats. Drum roll, please. All-time great, I said, Randy. Can we get a little louder drum roll, please?
Was that not a good drum roll?
No, you have to kind of hit something a little harder.
Let me find my speaker. I never found the speaker on this thing. Let me check where that is.
Oh,
all right,
goodness. Ready? Here we go.
Right, try over. Start it again.
Okay, I'm just going to clear this up and just say you need to find the microphone, not the speaker. But anyways, Eric Coleman, thanks for joining us, Eric. Sorry you had such a bad introduction, but thanks for joining us.
Good, man. Thanks for having me.
We can always edit that a little bit, Eric. Yeah. It'll be a great introduction when you're done with that thing.
Now, we know you played last year in Portugal and actually for a number of seasons, but what is it that you're doing now?
Right now, I'm actually I'm training kids here in Minneapolis and trying to get into my coaching career, get that started right now. But besides that, I'm working a little bit. I do security work on weekends from time to time, but mainly just training kids and get my coaching career going.
What have been some of your favorite stops and why?
Most definitely Portugal, since I spent the most time there. I would say that was clearly the most. I spent 5 seasons there, won the most of my championships there as well. I would say Angola, that was another place that was really fun and interesting to me, one over there too. Plus, I think without ball, I would have never even thought of going to Africa or anywhere close to that place. So that was another spot that I really enjoyed just because, you really get to see the culture and it's nothing like you see on TV.
Well, especially since you get to stay there for a lengthy period of time. Most people maybe take a vacation for a week or 6 days or whatever that might be, but you got to stay there and obviously live, eat, breathe, smell the entire culture. So like as you said, some of your favorite places, maybe where was the favorite food at? Which location was the favorite food?
The best food I had all around, I would say Portugal. Okay. I enjoyed their food quite a bit. Well, I still do. Like, I've been there 5 years, so I'm eligible for my citizenship there. I'll be a dual citizen come next year.
So, Eric, you had a lengthy run. Obviously, since 2008, you've been still playing basketball. There's not many guys who can continue to play that many years professional basketball. Tell us, what was it, your diet or your workout program, or what was it that kept you playing that long?
I feel I should have gotten more serious about my workouts before I did. Like, the older I got as a player, the more serious I got into, like, my workouts, keeping my body in shape, because in my earlier years, in my off seasons, I really didn't do much of anything, just depended on, my natural abilities. I got preseason coming up, so get me in shape. You know, that's how I always thought. But as you get older, you find out it's harder to get back in shape than to stay in shape. So I started taking my workouts and my diet a whole lot more serious the older I got in my career. So that helped me a lot with not having any serious injuries in my career. That was another thing that I can say I was blessed with, was not getting the injury bug that some guys get in their careers that normally shorten up their careers.
And Randy is probably fascinated by this since he played professionally overseas for a whole week, right? A whole week.
2 weeks, Chuck.
Yeah.
Get it right. 2 weeks.
But over at UNI, you're part of a pretty unique club out there, the Tartan Club. 5 UNI players have come from Tartan in Minnesota. 3 of them during your era, like yourself, and then Crawford, Kajo. What was it like playing with those guys in high school and then later in college?
The crazy thing about that is me and Crawford never got to play together at Tartan. I was a freshman his senior year, but I went to St. Paul Central and then transferred to Tartan after he graduated.
Was that because you didn't want to take his spot? You thought
That
you
was
better
probably
play
it.
the senior year?
No, I when I moved to Minnesota, like I was more in the inner city because that's where a lot of my family was when I came up there. So I just stayed. I stayed in the city my first year, my 8th grade and 9th grade year. I stayed in the St. Paul area, like for school. But sophomore year, um, my mom, she decided to move me to Tartan. I was having a little bit of behavior issues my freshman year, so it was a couple options, and I chose to go to Tartan. But again,
Great move.
that was the greatest decision I could have made for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. So in that transition, then, so obviously you went to Tartan your sophomore season,
Yep.
and then tell us kind of how possibly the University of Northern Iowa came in that picture, and then obviously your teammates. You talk. Did any of that have to do with choosing UNI and maybe other schools you had the opportunity to choose from?
I didn't really have a whole lot of interest at the Division I level, except for UNI, and that didn't come until the summer going into my senior year.
Okay.
I actually blossomed and just took off on the AAU circuit, and then I carried it on throughout my senior year. I did talk to Crawford quite a bit, you know, asking about the coaching staff and whatnot, and they were pretty persistent, and they showed a lot of interest. They were basically the only team that was going to give me a chance with a scholarship and coming in and give me a shot to earn playing time. So it was an easy choice for me.
Nice.
Well, when you came in as a freshman, was there a junior or senior that pulled you aside and kind of helped mentor you during that first year? And if so, what was that relationship like?
The guys that really took me in were John Little and Ben Jacobson. Those guys, you get two workhorses. Those guys, they showed you the right way, the effort, the work ethic of true UNI Panthers, and they kind of led the way for me, you know, and got me in right away because, like you said, as a freshman, I came in, I was playing minutes, so they told me like, "Hey, man, we're gonna need you." So I really started taking, you know, working out even more and being available and giving like the best I can to help these guys because they had went to the tournament. They knows what it takes to get there. They know how to win, and I just followed those guys' lead.
Ego wise, is it hard to go from being the star on a high school team to coming to a college team and knowing that you're not going to be the number 1 or 2 option?
For me, it wasn't because my team and even in high school, that team we had like 5 or 6 Division I players. Everyone, like no guy averaged over about 15 points. Even on that high school team I had at Tartan, as good as we were, we all knew that, I mean, we needed everybody anyway. So my ego wasn't really affected at all because I knew these guys are all juniors, seniors. They've been here before. They've done it. I'm the new face, and I I have to earn my keep in order, to fit in with these guys. Those guys didn't have to fit in with me. I was the one coming in as the new face.
Now, fast forwarding, by the time you graduated, you had made your mark clearly at UNI as far as scoring, rebounding, shots blocked. I mean, you were all over the stat sheet. Is there anything that you would say, yeah, I really worked hard, I'm proud of blocking shots, or you did a lot for the Panther program? And is there anything that you would say, yeah, I deserve that, or that was awesome?
I feel as a Panther, when I came in like that freshman of the year, that was really big since it had been such a long time since anyone from UNI had ever gotten that reward.
Mm.
After I got that, I kind of felt like, I've earned my spot here. I deserve to be here playing with these guys, and for the records and all of that. I mean, that comes along with, my teammates trusting in my abilities and what I can do. The coaches allowing me to play how I can play, and pretty much giving me the free range, to play my game to help the team.
Well, these days, big men are expected to shoot three-pointers. If you could turn back time, do you wish you could kind of just let things fly during your UNI days?
I definitely do, being that the fact is I became a pro, I started shooting more outside. I feel like if I would have, worked on my game a little bit more as a three-point shooter at UNI, it would have opened up even more opportunities for me and the team. But as is, I don't really regret how I played. But if one thing I would have wished I expanded earlier would have been my outside shooting for sure.
And Randy, it sounds like he's a hard enough worker that he could have probably taught like Veet and Benny a little lesson or two in three-point shooting after a while.
Why do you think he wants to come back to UNI someday? Right?
So
he's got a COVID year. He's got a COVID year. He could play another year.
That's right.
Yes.
So, well, besides all the great players we talked about already, was there a player or two though, like Benny, Brooks, Stout, etc., that you just clicked really well with the best during your time and complemented your game well?
Stout. Stout would probably be the guy because we spent 3 straight years together. That was my man. We were in the 4 and 5 for those 3 years, that 3-year run we had. And that was the guy that I got the most playing time with, had the most chemistry on the court with. And we complemented each other's game so well because he was more of an outside guy. He could shoot pretty well, and we both were monsters on the boards. We actually used to compete to see who would get more rebounds in the games. Like that was our little deal, who would get more offensive rebounds. So we pushed each other to be great every day.
Well, during your tenure, you went to the NCAAs twice, and with Stout and some of these other guys that you mentioned when you came in, like Benny, they helped teach you about what life was like going to the NCAAs. But let's talk about your first time against Wisconsin. What did it feel like walking on that floor for the first time? And tell us some of your favorite moments from that experience.
It was a lot of guys say they don't get nervous. I was. It was my first time kind of on a big stage like that, even though we had played, Iowa State, and those teams like that during, the regular season. But watching the NCAA tournament and then walking on that floor for the first time actually participating was, that was an experience that I was like, that's one of my top experiences.
Well, sorry.
Also going against Wisconsin, that was, I wanted to beat some of those teams, those Big Ten teams that, when I was coming out of high school, they didn't think I was big enough or good enough to play for them. So going against them, it was, I had a pretty big chip on my shoulder.
Well, the amazing thing is when you think about the 3 years in a row that the team went to the tournament. I mean, it was like Georgia Tech and Georgetown, Wisconsin. All those are major programs from power schools, but they all the games are like 5 points. I think the difference. They were really super close games. That's something to obviously be very proud of.
So we always felt we could compete with those teams, and we never felt like we were underdogs.
Randy came from a program where when he played at UNI, there wasn't even a 3-point line. That's how old this guy is, but there wasn't even a 3-point line. But it went from a D2 program to a D1 program, roughly around when Randy started, to the point of you going to all these NCAA tournament games to where they are now, where all these players are going professionally. Someone playing on the Bucks now. I mean, something that maybe wouldn't have been thought of back when Randy first started playing D1 at UNI. What does it feel like being on that timeline of UNI progress?
I mean, it's an honor to be a part of it, and I just feel like that shows the progress of UNI's basketball. And it started, with Randy and those guys, and it progressed and it got better, even with, the team that beat Kansas, year after year, UNI basketball makes a name for itself in some way, some form, whether it's beating a top-ranked team, taking someone down, advancing farther in the tournament. Like you said, you got AJ now, and he's in the NBA. He's with the Bucks. So it just shows, how dedicated the coaches are, with getting great talent in there, and the players working and putting in the work, and the results are just showing up, year after year.
Randy, do you concur with that statement?
Yeah, I totally do. Exactly. I think it's all the way from like even myself. The only D1 scholarship I had available was to come to be a Panther, and like you, I played with a little chip on my shoulder, thinking that I could have maybe played at Iowa, could have maybe played at Iowa State, and it's just like, what do you do with that? How do you motivate yourself to become better? And I think UNI gets those kind of athletes and develops them, and obviously the coaching staffs are fantastic. The young men they're bringing into play here are just outstanding young men. Even guys like Eric, they're just good people, and they want to give back. And so I concur with that 100%. And UNI is always going to be that way, and that's awesome because they know they can compete, and that's the big part of it.
Your senior class, though, in 2008, tell us about some of those guys and what was senior night like for you?
Me and those guys, like they were, when we were playing, when I first got there, those guys, they didn't really play a whole bunch because you had, Crawford, Little, Jacobson, and those guys in front of them. But those guys throughout the years put in the work, worked their tails off. They knew they would get their time. And when it was ready to go that senior year, Jolson's, he didn't really play point guard. He was a 2, but he had to get moved to the point guard because of injury. And I think he jumped into that role his senior year like as best as anybody could with as little preparation as he had. He was sniper, stone cold shooter. Like anytime I pass him the ball, I would normally start running back on defense. I assumed every single shot he put up was going in. Just because you seen him put in the work, he always got his shots up, and you would bank on him making all of his shots and Jolston making the right decision with the ball in his hands as well. With us three, we all had complete trust in each other that, when we stepped on the court, we were all going to do our jobs.
When you come in your freshman year and you think to yourself, wow, I'm going to play 30-ish games every year. My senior year is a long way away. On that evening, senior night, you're walking onto the floor and for the last time, what's that feeling like?
It's bittersweet. Also, you've accomplished a lot, to get there as a player, because sometimes guys don't make it there despite the reasoning, health-wise, they transfer or something like that. And just to make it my full 4 years there with one team, I was a starter the majority of the time. I got to help the team win, and it was kind of, it was a real emotional night and for me and for the rest of the guys, just knowing, we become so close over the years and that our run, it was over.
Yeah, looking forward just a little bit. We touched on that a little bit, but you're kind of giving back, right? You want to work with kids, develop kids, and possibly coach someday is what you're looking forward to. And what advice would you give to some? I've got grandkids who are in 7th grade, 5th grade, 3rd grade, trying to be athletes. I mean, that's a little bit young, but at some point, what advice would you give to some kids or parents out there that want to develop their kid or kids to become, good athletes, good kids, whatever that might be?
For the parents, I would tell them step away a little bit more. Stop being so hands-on. And if you are having like trainers or other coaches do that for your kids, let them do their jobs because that's what you're paying them for. And the kids, I mean, stop watching the NBA so much.
I love it.
Stop, because I mean it's not teaching the fundamentals, and those guys are elite athletes. You're not going to do the same thing they're doing. Nothing on the same level they're doing. Those guys worked on that for years and years and years to perfect their craft. So I feel that a lot of kids got to take their workouts more serious.
Yeah.
I would say at a younger age, like I didn't really take my workouts too serious. The first time I ever really lifted was at UNI.
Yeah.
I didn't lift in high school. I was just going off natural abilities. And then, like, even as I said, the more years as a pro, I took my off-season workouts more, keeping myself in shape. And I think doing that at an earlier age, you set the tone for yourself early. And I don't feel these kids need to be playing a whole bunch of AAU basketball because they're breaking their bodies down playing year round. I would rather make them be a multi-sport athlete because you work on completely different skills that'll help you. Like, don't be a specialist too early. Let kids play multiple sports all throughout high school. I would say probably sophomore year, if they want to start specializing, like freshman, sophomore year, then that's the time to do it. But before that, be a multi-sport athlete for all kids.
Yeah.
So do you currently play in any rec leagues or anything like that to just kind of keep those competitive juices flowing for you?
I do. I'm in a couple men's leagues here in Minneapolis. We play on Saturdays, and then one starts up this week. So I'll have Saturday, Sunday games. So I'm still playing, but staying near the game. It's just not as intense anymore as it normally is.
You can shoot all the threes you want in rec league.
and I can't get subbed out for shooting them anymore.
Is it hard for you not to be able to be so intense during games then?
A little bit. It's a little bit of a transition, but now I'm to the point where I know like this isn't a professional like environment. I'm not working towards going back to, because even then I would play in like some summer leagues, but I knew I was preparing myself to still be playing. So I would be way more intense. But now it's like, oh, well, this is more just for my cardio, staying in shape, moving around. It's more for fun than me getting ready to play a season for my career.
Yeah.
Well, if there's one thing you wish Panther fans could remember you for, what would it be?
I would say my effort and energy that I brought. I always aim to please the crowd. I was a crowd guy when I was there. My intensity was one thing that that really fed me to play. So I would say my intensity, and my energy that I played with.
And any final words for Panther fans out there before we let you go?
Panther pride forever, man. Go purple and gold.
Yep, there you go. Eric, this was a treat. It was a great interview. We love talking with you, and once again, just a great man who had his career and he's going to give back a little bit. We look forward to your next steps. Good luck to you, and God bless you.
This week's nonprofit of the week is House of Hope. Joining us today, drum roll, please, Randy. The drum rolls just get worse and worse, but here we go. Development director.
I'll work on it.
Development director from House of Hope, Dusky Steele. Thanks for joining us today.
Hello, thanks for having me.
So, Dusky, could you share with us what does House of Hope do, and what are some of the programs that you offer?
Yeah. House of Hope provides transitional housing for single mothers who are in homelessness or facing homelessness, and also young women who are 18 to 24 who've aged out of foster care or spent some time in out of home placement. And women can stay here for up to 2 years. And then our main goal, though, is to get to root causes of poverty and homelessness, and not just put a Band-Aid over it. We're interested in long-term solutions, long-term success. So we offer a lot of programs that get to those root causes, like financial mentoring. We have a family support and wellness program. We have a career employment program called Boost. We have just a lot of things that address. It's a comprehensive approach so that we can address everything from all angles.
Now, you've been there for how many years now?
It'll be 9 in May.
Holy smokes, 9 years.
Yeah.
So during those 9 years, what's a life-changing story that occurred during your time at House of Hope that kind of keeps you motivated each day from the work that you do?
Well, I'll tell you, we just in the past couple of years, we've started really having programs that create transformation, and we're seeing women go from homeless to homeowner. And there was one woman in particular. She had all the barriers, and she came from she had no network of support, a very abusive relationship. She didn't have any work skills or education. She really just had to start kind of from the very beginning, and she now is a homeowner. And it's stuff like that that really does keep me motivated. And we had 3 women become homeowners this year, which is incredible. So
Wow, that's awesome, Dusky. So obviously, the people who listen to this show are people who want to give back a little bit. And so, what would be a way, either with money or stuff, right? And what would be a way for us to maybe promote that for you all at the House of Hope?
Well, we are completely funded and supported by the community. So we are not government funded. So all of our support comes from individual contributions, local grants, and fundraising events. Volunteers supplement our staff, and in-kind donations. We furnish all the apartments for the families when they first get here, and then when they successfully complete the program, they take everything with them. So, so we're always kind of restocking those apartments with basic need items like furniture and in-season clothing and basic kitchen stuff, things like that. And of course, yeah, volunteers. We can always use volunteers. If you want to get involved, we will put you to work for sure.
So with that being said, so if someone has typically like if I get rid of something, a good dresser, a good mattress box spring, or whatever that might be, is it kind of like, do you take donations like that as long as they're quality furniture, quality stuff? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yes, we take most things we will take gently used. We usually only take twin-sized beds. But the best thing to do is just, if you have stuff, just give us a call and find out if we can use it, and then we can get you scheduled for an appointment, and then you bring your stuff here, and we just kind of go from there.
Awesome. Cool.
Now, Randy, I have heard of House of Hope maybe once or twice. I know just a small little bit about it.
You got a little insight too.
Just a little bit, and so, but what a lot of people don't realize is that just basic needs that we're maybe accustomed to that we take for granted, just ask yourself, like, what would you do if you had nowhere to bring your kid for childcare? Could you even get a job? Or what if you couldn't even get transportation to your job? Or what if you didn't have your GED or a high school diploma yet to go to college? And these are all things that are barriers that sometimes when you kind of have that opportunity to have those things, you don't realize that it's a struggle for others. And it's awesome that House of Hope could help with those things to help people move from point A to point B on their own, right? It's not just Band-Aid, but teaching them to do it on their own and transforming how they do things.
Yes, and I am super excited because we are starting to do a lot more outreach programming, because we are seeing that these things are effective. And it's that deep programming that really gets to stuff. And so we want to make some of these things available for other single moms who are not necessarily living at House of Hope. And so we are just starting a pilot program next week. It's called Financial Empowerment Scholarship Program. And so our program staff are going to go on site to Friendship Village and provide a 5-week class of financial mentoring for women who are single moms who are employed at Friendship Village, and then they can earn a scholarship at the end of it. So yeah, so I'm super excited. And a lot of single moms are just like one tragedy away from ending up in homelessness. So if we can really help them get this foundation where they can overcome future adversity, if it should happen, then that's better for the whole community.
So obviously a lot of awesome programs out there, a lot of ways for people to get involved. What are the best ways for people to learn more about House of Hope?
The best way is to call me, and I will give you a tour and tell you all about what we do. I'm kind of a visual person, so I like to walk around and show people kind of our stuff in action. And so yeah. You can also look at the website, which is houseofhopeccd.org. We also are on Facebook at House of Hope CV. So yeah, you can follow us on that, and yeah, look at all the entertaining things we post on Facebook and find out about our, House of Hope happenings.
Dusky, we appreciate you. We appreciate you joining us, and obviously, Chuck and I have a great heart for House of Hope, and we really appreciate you guys being out there in the community doing what you're doing.
Well, thanks for having me, and thanks for spreading the mission of House of Hope.
Now's the part of the show that everyone's been waiting for, the Financial Architect's quote of the week.
Here it is, Chuck. Remember, you lose only when you stop trying.
Okay, I feel more motivated now.
Good. That's that's what the quote is supposed to do, is like inspire you just a little bit, maybe, or whatever that might be. So you keep playing basketball like you're playing basketball.
Yeah. Like I didn't quit. I just play like once a year.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
Nope. Keep trying.
Still playing. I'm still same in golf. Trying. I haven't quit golf. I just
yeah.
So so as always, good for you, good for me, good for everybody. Now it's time to say goodbye from Chuck and Randy. Enter the closing music.